Welcome. This is MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing Who Told You That? My guest is Edie Tolbert. She's the owner of Stonebrook Day Spa and Fitness Studio and the founder and executive director for the Stonebrook Project nonprofit. Edie, welcome to MoneyHeart.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. What drove you to start Stonebrook? Kind of share your story with us a little bit.
So I like to get my nails done. And back about 10 years ago, I was going to a little salon here in Catoosa, and they were getting ready to close. So on the last day that I was there, I asked my nail tech, where are you going to? Because I'm going to follow you. You've been my nail tech for many, many years. And she had not secured another location, and because all of her clients were here in the Catoosa area. So I said, okay, well, let me know where you're at, and went and got my car, and she called me and asked me to come back. And so I did. And she said, why don't you open a day spa? And I went, what? She goes, no, really, why don't you open a day spa and I'll come to work for you? And I said, man, you've lost your mind. But as I got in the car and drove home, my husband and I had a tax refund that year, the first one in many years. It was sitting in the bank. So when I got home, I said, I think I know what I'd like to do with that money. And he's like, what? And I told him I wanted to open a day spa. And he said, have you lost your mind? And I said, probably, but you know, ladies love to go to the spa. They love to get their nails done. They love to do massage therapy. So that was in April of 2010. And by August of 2010, we were open, Stonebrook Day Spa. I had one massage therapist, one nail tech, and myself. I was doing the front desk duties. So there we were. And what was even crazier about the whole situation, I had a nephew that was a general contractor. I had a nephew that was an IT guy. I had a nephew that was in heating and air conditioning. I had a niece that worked for a credit card company. So and then I had my sister-in-law who was in interior design. So we just got the family together, and we found a space, and they helped me. All of us came together as a family and got it done. And we were open in August. So it was amazing.
That's a great startup story. How cool that you were able to get everybody in to help you build, and
Yes.
an excellent use of your resources of going, okay, who do I know? All right, you people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Were you profitable from the beginning? How well did it go?
We were not profitable. You know, I didn't have a written business plan. I'm a visionary. So I had a vision and I ran with that vision. I leaned heavily on my massage therapist and my nail tech to help me with, learn the industry, the business side of the industry. I had worked in corporate America for 10 years. And then I was a stay-at-home mom after my daughter was born. So I had a degree in business administration. I knew how to plan, organize all the things, but did not have a written business plan. Didn't know that I needed to do that. I don't recommend that.
Not having one?
No, get your business plan, get it on paper, have a plan going into it. Even if it takes a few months for you to get that done, that's really important to get that done. But I did know that I loved going to the spa. I loved customer service. I always worked in customer service. I loved dealing with people. And I had been diagnosed with cancer and knew that I wanted to find a way to give back to the cancer community. So that was going to be a part of it. So with that, those three visions, or those three strengths, I knew we could do well. I just didn't know how we were going to get there. And so it was a learning process. And it wasn't until about 2016 when I did my taxes, we started doing free services for cancer patients that year after we opened. And that was mostly for breast cancer patients because I am a breast cancer survivor. But quickly that word of mouth and that service grew, and I realized the need was great. So by 2016, like I was saying, when I sat down to do my taxes, I learned that I had done $12,000 in free services that came directly out of my budget. As a small business, 10 employees or less, that was a big hit. I knew I was doing something good and I knew I wanted to continue it, but I had to figure out a way to do it differently and make sure that we were profitable. So that's when I sat down with 3 mentors. One of the ladies was the chamber president when I started my business here in Catoosa. One lady I connected with at Susan G. Komen because we were connected with them through the Race for the Cure, and then another lady that was in nonprofit for multiple years. So sat down with them, and I think at that point, and I'd made some changes. I went from booth rent to commission and did some pricing structure things, but it still wasn't enough. And so when I sat down with them and they mentored me, that was at the point when I was able to come up with a business plan, and that's when we launched the nonprofit, the Stoneberg Project. So it was at that point that I felt like we made that pivot in order for the business to be good, the nonprofit to be good, and still do a service to a community that was in desperate need of some massage therapy.
So well, first, how many years after your cancer did you start this project?
So I was diagnosed in 2008, and we opened Stoneberg Day Spa in 2010, and then we launched the nonprofit in 2017.
Wow. Okay. So you were up and starting a business not very long after you must have finished treatment.
Yes.
That seems pretty close.
It was actually right towards the end of my second year. And so I did a single mastectomy. I didn't have to do radiation or chemotherapy because it had not traveled. So not to diminish what I went through, but there are people that have gone through so much more than I have. But cancer is cancer, and the journey is emotionally and physically taxing. So I got it. I knew that there was something that we could do to help them get through the 2 to 5 years, whatever it is that their treatment plan calls for, to relieve some of the stress and anxiety that goes along with a cancer diagnosis.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot to take on.
Yes.
So yeah, it really is. It really is. So your nonprofit then, the goal was to fund the
Yes.
people who were receiving complimentary services from your spa. Is that how that piece works?
Yes. So we partner with Cancer Treatment Center of America, St. Francis Cancer Center, Oklahoma Cancer Specialists, and then also Northeastern Oklahoma Cancer in Claremore. And so in order to get massage therapists on site and continue to provide those services at the day spa, we also have a day spa in Pryor that we partner with. We raise funds in order to pay for those services so that they're complementary to the cancer patient. And it's men and women who are currently in treatment for cancer. Mm-hmm. We also have some that have, a lot of people think that once you get through the chemo or the radiation and you have your final surgery, you're done, but there are residual effects, and you might have neuropathy. You might, there's just different side effects that are longer lasting. Radiation is not completely out of your system for 6 months after the last treatment. And likewise with chemotherapy. So you may still be having, you're still nauseous, or you can't sleep at night because you wake up in the middle of the night and your brain just rushes. So there are some residual side effects that we help with even after, we call them post-treatment. So yeah, the services are, it's not just one and done, and it's not just once you're done with chemo, you're done. It could go, there's ladies with breast cancer that have lymphedema, and so doing a lymphatic massage to keep the swelling down, the painful swelling that happens in your arms. And some people are on chemo the rest of their life. We've got people that take a chemo pill once a month for the rest of their life. So they are, they're with us for as long as they need to be. So it's not just 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. It could be many.
Mm-hmm. So you went from running one business, which was a spa, that you had never been in that industry before. You just said, I love this. I want to help people. Let's make it happen. To running 2 businesses, one business, one nonprofit.
Right.
And how did you get them to be profitable and functional and all of that when you first started, not even knowing that a business plan might be a good idea? Like this is a huge huge leap. How did we make it this far?
So a year after we launched the nonprofit, I found myself in the same muck as I was in before. And I called what I call my business bestie, Jennifer, and I think she's been on your podcast as well.
She has,
and
yeah.
I said, this still isn't working, and I don't know what's happening. And I walked her through what was going on. And, we do the fundraisers, we raise the money, but the money is here and the need is here. And how do I get those to balance? How do I figure that out? And she goes, well, what's your break even point on cancer patient services? And there was this long pause. And I said, my what? She said, your break even. And I said, is there a formula for that? Do I just Google break even? What? And so she walked me through, and she has an intense accounting background, which I do not. Yes, I have a budget. Yeah, I know how to, pay my bills, blah, 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 but I don't have all those formulas that it's necessary. And so she walked me through it. I sat down and figured it out. We came up with a break-even point. I went directly to my manager and said, okay, this is how many cancer patient services we can schedule a month based on our funding, and we need to communicate that to our cancer patients. And it was like a revelation. The light bulb finally came on, and things started switching. That was that next pivot. And, she told me, she said, numbers don't lie, and you need to know your numbers. And I said, okay, I need your help. I need your help to show me how to do this and how to do it effectively. And she literally took me by the hand and walked me through it. And I can say with confidence now that we are profitable, that the nonprofit is raising the amount of money that we need to raise, with some left over at the end of the year. It's finally working, but not without some work. And you got to know your numbers. It's first and foremost in any business, no matter where you are, you have to know your numbers. What's coming in and what's going out, you have to know it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do. Yeah. Otherwise, it's really hard to have a clue. And that actually is the title of Jennifer's episode, is Know Your Numbers. Jennifer Edwards. So when people are listening to this, if they want to go back and listen to that one, it's Know Your Numbers is what to search for, because that's the one.
Absolutely.
So in this concept of knowing your numbers, when we chatted before, you mentioned how you always thought you were not very good at math, not very good at numbers. This wasn't really your thing. What did you discover?
So what I discovered, as Jennifer and I would work together, and she would hold me accountable and, tell me, you got to do your bank statements every month. You got to know what's coming in and going out. I listened to a message, and I believe it was by, I just lost his name. He has a church down in Houston, and he was talking about the story of Adam and Eve in the garden. And after they had eaten the apple, how they went behind the trees because they discovered that they were naked. And God was looking for them, Adam, and they weren't answering. And finally they answered. And he said, why are you hiding in the trees? And I'm paraphrasing here. And he said, because we're naked. And God said, who told you that? And he said, so I want you to stop and think about that one lie that the enemy is telling you. Who told you that? And it was like, again, a light bulb moment. If you continue to tell yourself that you're not good at something, you're not going to be good at it. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. And so at that moment, I thought, I'm not going to say that anymore, that's not my gifting. That's not what I'm good at. I'm going to say, it's maybe not my strongest point, but I can do it. And so when I changed that mindset, and I started kicking those numbers around, and if I ran into something that I wasn't as comfortable with as I was before, I would ask Jennifer and she would help me. And I can honestly say now that I know my numbers. I'm kind of like I'm kind of crazy about it now. I mean, I know my budgets from one month to the next. I know what's come in. I know what's gone out. I know what needs to be paid. I know where we're at with our cancer patient services. I know if we need to cut back or if we can add some more. I mean, I literally know the numbers, and it's so freeing. It relieves so much stress and anxiety, and it's great. It's really awesome.
I love that you letting us in on that little secret, because I think so many people feel like, I don't even want to look at that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in my business, people come to me and I'm like, well, what did your most recent statement say? And they're like, I don't open those. Like, whoa, how are we not looking at these?
Yes.
It might be a good idea to open the envelope and see what they said.
Yes.
And
I went to I went to a little seminar not too long ago, and it was about how to manage your money. And they had a guest speaker from Domino's Pizza, and he has like on his phone live time what each location is doing, and if it's dipping or if it's more than normal. And so he can call and say, what's going on? Somebody didn't show up for work. Okay, well, let's do. And so I'm like, I will never be like that. I can't. I like my numbers and I run my numbers, but holy cow, I don't think I could ever.
A little too much, huh?
Yes. But it's just, you have to acclimate it to what works for you, but you got to know your numbers. You got to know them. Absolutely. If you're going to do a good thing and be successful, you're going to have to know those numbers.
Excellent point about adapting it to what works for you.
Yes.
It obviously, in his world, seeing that real-time data helps him save the day, because he can immediately figure out this one location's having a problem. Clearly someone didn't show up, or something giant spilled, or whatever. There's a disaster here. Let me solve it.
Dough makers down, whatever it is, what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so you're the same way, where you can look each week, month, day, however you do it, and say, okay, here's how many people we can serve. Here's what we need to do. If we want to bring in more, here's what's being effective, here's what's not. I think that's great information, not just for business owners in running their business, but for people in general in running their finances. It's like, have a clue about where you are.
Yes.
Even if you're in a terrible spot, you at least need to know how bad it is, so you can make a plan to get out.
And it has helped me personally too. I just turned 60 this last year. So of course I want to start setting up for, want to be setting up for retirement, but it also gives you that freedom to know exactly where you are personally, because we're all working for that moment when we can retire and enjoy life. Not that we're not enjoying it now, but when we get there. But if you don't know what you have where, then when you get to that point, you're going to be really sad. It's going to be really a sad situation.
Yeah.
So it has helped me in my personal life as well.
That's awesome. And you're so right. You will never get to the point of being financially secure and able to retire from steady working and just do whatever you want because you have enough income, because you never watched it the whole way. If you're not tracking it, you have no idea what's going on. It's very unlikely to come together by itself.
No. Open those bank statements.
Yeah. Open the statements. Oh gosh.
Open the envelope.
Open the envelope. Even if you have to look at it and then put it in the freezer on timeout for a little while just because it's too much to look at, but at least look at it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's perfect. So tell us about your most recent vacation, because it sounds like you have really recrafted your message to yourself of just how you're running things, of where it was before. It seemed like you were pretty stressed out. How are things now?
So one of the things that I decided last year, one of my 2020 goals, which we all know how those worked well, was to take time to rest, because if my glass is not full, I can't fully spill into anybody else. And so one of the things that I really was, and of course, we had some downtime, so it was obviously
there was a little downtime in 2020. Yeah, be careful what you wish for, huh?
Yeah. So rest, taking time for myself to refuel, making sure that I get outside and reconnect with nature. That was one of my big aha moments for the COVID shutdown. But went on vacation to Florida this last week, and this is the first time since I've been in business for 10 years, going into my 11th, that I didn't take not one business file, not one follow-up, not one check into. I had the occasional text message from my manager, but I left all the work at home. And there were actually times when I sat out on the patio and just listened to the birds chirping and the fountain of water. So it was probably the best vacation that I've had in quite some time, just because I didn't take my work with me. And it's very important. It's very important to leave it and have some time for yourself.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Yes, thank you.
This has been awesome. If you want to get in touch with Edie, her email is edie@stonebrookdayspa.com. Their office phone number is 918-379-6838. And both websites are stonebrookdayspa.com and thestonebrookproject.org. Thank you as well to our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. This show is sponsored by Serenity Financial, a Five Rings financial agency specializing in financial education, living benefits, and guaranteed lifetime income. Be sure to follow MoneyHeart on social media at MoneyHeart Show and on our website, moneyheartshow.com. Today's money mantra is the numbers don't lie. Awesome. Thank you so much, Edie.
Thank you, Camille.